Good afternoon. Welcome back to Northwest Native Tracker, the channel that explores Bigfoot ground spore and native lore. So today I want to talk a little bit about clay and clay gathering here in the Northwest. You can find clay in stream beds, you can find it in hillsides, and you can find it in a couple of different forms. You can find rough, raw clay that needs to be further ground, filtered, and aged. You can also find nodule clay, which is, this little stuff that washes in. And that clay will be, something that's usually usable right away. This one's a little more dried out than the one I found earlier. Karma! So, mix those two clays together and you have a clay that's pretty useful for just making a pot because it'll hold its shape. Sorry I'm doing it with one hand. I'm just trying to give you an example of how you can, tell it's functional. Good using clay that's going to stick together. Has to be able to hold its shape and not be too dry or too wet. This one's still a little too wet. You have to let it dry out a little bit before you can make a pot of it because it still sticks to your hands a little too much. That's a nice fine clay, raw clay that you can find, just nodule clay in a stream bed. And then the other form that you will find in this area quite often, let me rinse my hand off, because this next piece is a lighter color and I don't want it to slip out of my hand either. Yeah, I just heard a knock. So you can also find tonfa clay, volcanic clay. So it is a hard clay. It's like almost rock-like. You have to regrind it. So it's really easy to turn this into a usable clay. I've been messing here. See how easy it just grinds? Karma! And it will create a usable slip that's fairly fine, fairly quickly. You just wet the stone. Karma! What you doing? Thank you, baby. Good girl. So you just wet the stone and grind it on an available rock. You can use flat rock, of course, if you're actually being serious about collecting the clay. But this is just for example purposes. This stuff comes off so fine that, it's a slip. You can use it as a glaze immediately or a paint. If you want to use it as a porcelain clay, you just let it dry out more. You gather it, let it dry out a couple days, and let it get tacked, and then it will, hey, dog, be a very useful clay. And this comes in a variety of different colors, light, white, yellow, very easy to grind, very quick to turn back into clay. You can even rub it with your finger. Of course, that's going to wear your fingers out, but yeah, it's an easy way to make clay. And it's an easy way to gather pigment because whereas it may be brown on the one side, it might be a lighter color on the other side. So you have multiple choice coloring. One's lighter, one's darker. So that's a tonfa clay, volcanic clay. Those are some of the things that my native mother and grandmother taught me about. How to collect clay and make a simple pot, and how to fire it, glaze it, all that stuff, burnish it. As we didn't usually use a lot of glazes, we used coloring pigments, and we would burnish our pots and smooth them with a rock when they were drying, and we'd add the pigments, and then we'd fire it all in one. We didn't do a double firing. So I wanted you to see this firsthand. And this particular stream bed's actually got a clay base to it. It's a volcanic flow area from about 10,000 years ago. I think this one might have been from Mount Mazama, what we now know as Crater Lake. But even Mount St. Helens, but it blew in 1980, it had tonfa clay flows and glass clay flows that could be used like rare earth elements to create, pottery, to create glassware, etc. It's very, give a good resource to the area. And additionally, that's something that occurs in any kind of volcanic region. You're going to have a lot of clay. You're going to have a lot of unusual rocks like ochre rock, etc., because of, well, the volcanic nature of things. Additionally, about 12,800 years ago, we went through the end of the Younger Dryas. We had an astronomical event that occurred across the west coast and across eastern states and part of the British Isles area. We got hit by asteroids, and most of them broke up in atmosphere, but the ones that were in this region, there was about 7 that were thought to have hit this region. Native lore, Lakota and Mayan both speak of the 7 gods that visited. They're not aliens, they were asteroids that destroyed us, because it buried us under 3 feet of calcium carbonate, and that was the end of our prehistoric animals. And that was a very short period ago. That was only 12,800 years ago. It also caused a lot of flooding, and floods internationally. There was, tidal waves from that, and then there was also a lot of volcanic upheaval and earthquakes that occurred because of the impacts and the explosions in the region. So something to consider about the formation and our life on this planet. As things change in our environment, we either adapt or die out, and there are different resources that come around, or dangers. Like calcium carbonate is incredibly toxic. It's carcinogenic, builds up in your lungs, it'll kill you from fibrosis sort of thing. Anyway, thought you'd like to see this and learn a little bit about clay gathering. Dogman and I are going to go back to playing in the creek bed. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for supporting my efforts to go show more of my educational areas. And I'm gainfully employed again as of last night. And I just want to say, if you like what I have for content, please like that like button. And, feel free to share the info around if you think it's useful. Have a good one. Take care, everyone.